okay with being recorded.
No, we take precedence.
Did you, I don't know if this is coming up, so I'm gonna ask now, and you tell me what we're gonna talk about, then let me know. Did you make, have you talked to
That's
Chief
what I'm
Spade?
saying, he's gotta go to Florida,
No,
they have a
not yet.
couple of branches
Talk
there, and
about
they're
that
gonna open it up another one, so we're like, oh, we gotta. And we'll, you know, do it together on the company's nickel,
Monday night.
you know,
To do an afternoon or evening.
right, but you gotta tell me when.
That's what I meant, the weekend. When I said afternoon, I meant
So,
weekend, sorry. This is my brain right now, yeah.
Not happening during the,
did the easement thing pass at town meeting?
not possible.
Was it like debated at all?
Did a Saturday, it would have, for me,
I was in bed by 8 o'clock, so I was so.
Yeah, I think that works.
It's like, yeah, that's the other problem.
It's okay, I have 10 o'clock swim lessons, so 10:30 swim lessons, that's what I'm working.
The easement wasn't that controversial, but there was
yeah,
definitely
no,
some
I've got
discussion.
appointments.
We can talk about it.
To be honest, it's welcome.
I could do March. No, I can't.
Well, what was amazing was there was a whole bunch of, I think, chicken owners at the back of the
Must be on the
room that never really said anything. Yeah, if you know, they just waited for the decision, but,
Good evening. It's 7:32. I'd like to call this Thursday, February 7th, 2019, meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Tonight's broadcast will be live, Chelmsford Telemedia. If anyone else is recording this meeting, please say so now. Hearing none. Tonight we'll be following the published and posted agenda, and the first on the agenda is approval of minutes, and we have 3 sets to go through tonight. The first set is from, I believe, October 15th. I think, has everyone now had a chance to go through those?
Yes, I did read that.
Okay. I had a couple of quick notes, Pam. I can just give those to you redlined, if you prefer, or I can read them out for you. Either one's fine.
You emailed them?
I will. I have them redlined here, so I can send those to you. Actually, I have a couple of notes on each set. So, mostly grammatical, a couple of things I went back and watched just to see what was going on.
Would you
Any
like a motion?
I would like a motion.
Let me just ask a little question before I do that. Since you sent edits, should I say as edited?
Yep, that would be the way to do it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of October 15th as edited.
Give a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? None. All right, the next set is from January 24th. And again, I have a couple of quick notes that I'll send to you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of January 24th as edited.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna
Nays or
abstain
abstain?
because
Yep.
I wasn't there.
Vicki?
Same, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, the minutes from February 4th.
Those are the ones that came out today?
Yes.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to read those.
Okay.
I didn't read them and I wasn't there, so.
All right, well, we don't have enough people to vote on it then, so we're going to have to push that off until next week. I've received a document information request regarding the discussions on the arbitration award. What I will do is, although these have not been finalized, I will send, in order to comply with the dates, we will not be able to vote in time in order to comply with the dates on these, I believe, because we have 10 days from the request. So we might make it if we meet next week. We can table it to next week, but I may have to send the unedited version as part of my package, just to let you know.
Because what would we be voting on? Oh, the minutes.
The minutes, yeah.
Oh,
You wouldn't be
okay.
voting on it anyway, you weren't
No,
there.
I know, I didn't understand what we were voting on.
No, that's what we'll be voting on. All right, so we'll table those until next week or whenever we hold our next meeting.
Okay.
All right. Moving along. Next on our agenda is a review of the fiscal year 20 budget. Will be a recurring theme tonight. First on the agenda is the Cemetery Commission. We have with us David Boyle, the cemetery superintendent. Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
So,
It's your show.
so I think first on the agenda was the warrant article.
Mhm.
So if you want to just.
Actually, no, the budget itself, but
Oh, is
if
it the
you,
budget?
if you prefer to do the warrant article first, that's fine.
Whichever is fine.
Uh,
Well, as far as the warrant article, it's just regular, the regular spring warrant article. This particular year, I'll be requesting $50,000 transfer from sale of lots to improvement development to continue the process at Pine Ridge Cemetery.
How's that going?
It's going. My goal is, you know, it's tied into funding, so as we can do as much as the funding we have, so. My goal is by the, excuse me, by fall is, you know, that we have the roads roughed in, we have the drainage in, the water in, and we're at the point where we can hydro seed and really get that section behind us. And also, looking at constructing 2 more niche walls, columbariums at Pine Ridge Cemetery.
And that's 50,000 even?
50, yeah. Yeah, currently, I just got the report from Darlene today. Currently, there's about 69,000 in there. So,
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
No, very straightforward. All right, we'll move right along to the budget.
And kind of the same thing with the
Yeah.
budget. The budget really hasn't changed much. As far as the personal services, everything is at level funded. No increases really, except for just the basically the 3 union guys I have. They'll be negotiating that new contract because it's up June 30th. So just funded it at this year's numbers.
Okay.
As far as the expenses go, everything's basically the same.
And longevity is going down because someone,
Longevity's going down because we had a change of foreman and so forth. So that's the reason that went down. I had to budget that in for fiscal year 19. I didn't know. So
Okay.
yeah, that's the reason.
How's the smartphone app going?
It's going very well. It's
Yeah.
going very well.
It's well received, it's working correctly?
Yes, it's going very well. And also with so we have the smartphone app, and along with that, we have what they call Cemetery 360, which is it's kind of a Google Earth of the cemeteries, the 6 cemeteries we have. So it's working well.
That's great.
And you're getting a new truck, right?
We are, that's in the capital budget. And so we'll be getting a new truck also, yes.
There's a lot of rust on the current one that's being replaced, right?
Yes. It's literally falling apart.
Well,
But,
I have a somewhat odd question.
sure.
So say someone buys a number of plots,
Yes.
and then say they buy 5, and only 2 are used, and then the other 3 are somewhat forgotten because people move on to other areas of the country. What happens?
Unfortunately, they just sit empty, especially if there's a burial in those graves or a monument on that lot.
Yeah,
There's nothing, they sit empty. There's nothing really.
we're not collecting taxes on it, I mean.
no, but I was just curious.
No, I know what
because
you mean,
it's like,
yeah.
it
It's not like
occurred
it's
to me
ongoing income.
that there would be, plots that were paid for but never
There's
utilized.
a lot.
Well, that's my plan on mine.
Well, I'm wishing you good luck with that.
Quick.
I'll buy yours off to you.
A discounted rate.
No, of course, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So,
Actually, speaking of, do you see private transfer sales?
no, it's not allowed.
Not allowed. That's
It's not
okay.
allowed.
Oh, so.
Glad that came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But is like just without money changing hands, you can have, if you buy, like she said, you buy 4 lots,
Certainly.
you obviously can't be
if-
buried in
if
all
one-
4.
yeah, Exactly, you can do that. It's just a
Gift
change of the deed.
Okay,
That's all. Yep, yep.
That's fair.
so he'll gift it to you.
Okay, well, there you go. We'll figure out another arrangement, yeah. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Take care. Good night.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, next on our agenda is the review of the fiscal year 20 budget for the Council on Aging Senior Center. We have Deb Sirianni here, Human Service Director.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How are you?
Yes.
I do have to make one amendment to what I handed out, unfortunately. I am asking for $200 more in the dues and subscriptions line item, that is $1,700. I'm asking for $1,900 because our dues went up with the Mass Council on Aging dues. So I'd like to be able to cover that through our general fund. And that was already in the town manager's recommended budget.
It just didn't make it onto this.
I just printed out the wrong version. I printed out
That was my next
October's-
question. You know that question was
I
coming.
printed out October's version,
So
so,
it should be 1,900.
Okay.
yes. And then the bottom number is 423, so 498, 423.
Got it.
Okay.
So we don't have anything really wild
Okay.
as an increase. I based them on the fiscal year 19 actual numbers that I get at the end of my reports, and then the quarterly reports from the town. I take a look at those and multiply them by 4 and kind of look at them and see if there's something that looks like it might be projected to go up. And it looks like actually our electricity and gas heat can go down a bit, so that's really good. And vehicle maintenance, that's kind of normal as the vehicles get a little older. I just need to fix them a little bit more. Contracted services went up based on the cost of last year's.
Mm-hmm.
Older building, need to bring in other people to fix it. And then the write-up that I have is based on a supplemental budget that I asked for from Paul and John, which was not approved in the town's budget in the town manager's recommended budget, but this is a proposed solution for us to fix the problem in a different way without using general fund monies. So I just wrote it down to keep it in your minds that we're trying to solve a problem without asking you for more money this year, in hopes that I don't have to come back next year and ask for money to fix the same problem, which is, we have a building maintenance supervisor who is 20 hours a week for a very large and very active building. We're open from about 6 a.m. in the morning until 4:30 at night, 5 days a week. And then we're open 3 nights a week for various activities, and then we also rent the place out a lot during the weekends. So it's a lot of wear and tear. It's a 30-year-old building. I know that's not very old compared to some in town, but we're trying to keep up with things all the time, and it's like putting your finger in the dam, like this. And instead of maintenance, it becomes trying to just catch up to things. And I'd really like the place to look better than it does, and start renovating more and make it look nicer, and have things fixed. So, just while you're in your other meetings, if the facilities department asks for more money, I would say, please help them, because when I don't have Dan in the building, I have to call facilities, and there's a waiting list to try to get things fixed. So if they're asking for more help, please give it to them, because we need it. So that's my plug.
So basically what you're saying here is that your 20 hours a week for this person isn't
not
enough to do what needs to be done?
Absolutely not. And so I
What
create work orders for the facilities department people to come by. And some problems go 3 months or more before I get some of them resolved.
If-
And that's because there are 28, 8 buildings?
So if the hours
So-
that you have him aren't enough, how many hours do you think would be enough?
I'd like him to be 40 hours. He's already a full-time position, so it's not adding another benefited position to the town.
Right, it would just be adding additional salary.
Yes, to my budget.
Correct.
Yep.
How
So
can
he
you-
works half-time at the town
Yeah,
hall.
but, yeah, he
So
physically
he's already
leaves your
a-
building and goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
for the other
And then we
4
call him and go,
hours.
can you come back?
So it's
So he's
not a question
constantly
he's
going
there
back and forth.
full-time and you're only paying half. He's-
Correct.
Right.
I'm paying for half. The
Half is
town-
earmarked for your
Town
budget.
hall
He
is
leaves
paying
and
for the
goes
other half.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why this says overtime?
So what I'd like to do is be able to pay him his overtime rate when I need him. And so what I'm doing is paying it out of the rental income that I have for rent outside groups that come in, which is fairly significant. In March, I have every weekend booked, most weekends, both days, for outside groups. And so we waive the rental fee for nonprofit groups in town. We like to just offer them the ability, I don't want to put this out because it's already popular enough, but we give a rate of $35 an hour for local groups, because we just want to cover paying our custodian and the tiny little bit left in the pot. And so we've added a $50 room setup fee to those groups.
So it's a 35 per hour plus a
starting now.
50.
Yeah.
What do you charge people that aren't in-town nonprofits?
It's a whole lot more, and most groups just say, no, thanks.
Okay.
It's highly discouraged in the rates that were set by the town manager.
Okay.
So it works out that not very many private places come in.
Okay.
We don't have any time for them to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys
don't
are
want
booked,
to,
yeah.
you don't want to increase the rental fee per se, you want to stop waiving it. Is that
Well,
what you're saying? So increase the income.
we're still waiving it.
Right.
Because the rental fee is actually, what was it, $295, I think, for 4 hours in the main hall. But instead of that larger rate, change it to a $50 little rental
Okay.
fee. So just enough to kind of give us
To
enough to
cover the
take care of
expenses of
some
being
of,
there.
in case I need
Yeah.
people to come in. That also helps pay for snow removal, which is not paid under my hours right now either, and the general fund. So, the good news is we're doing well. We have lots of revolving funds. I went through with Dave, ad nauseum maybe, about all of the other income sources that we have, and it's over $500,000 a year that we're getting in other monies coming in. So that includes fees for programs that we run, grant monies that we get from contracts that we have with Elder Services, with LRTA, with all kinds of other groups. And then we also have the state formula grant that is we got an increase in this year. So we're able to expand our transportation services this year without asking you all for more money. We're able to use our formula grant money from the state that was increased to pay for more driver hours for part-time drivers. And I've just hired some more, so
Yeah.
looking to expand services for transportation, which is a great need.
So, did you include anywhere what the balances are on your revolving funds for us?
No, I shared that with Dave, but I'm happy to.
That's all right, I was just curious.
No, in fact, I wish she'd brought the slide. We went through every revolving account, okay, and sort of did a gut check on, was she all set for the year, was she wasn't. I also spoke to John to make sure, if you look at the process, if for any reason there was a problem, we don't really have an exposure in the sense that we would just have to cancel the program or delay the program. If it runs out of money, then we have to do something about the program. It's not a question where we'd have to step in
Yeah, I see.
and put town money on. It might be a couple of bucks, but I mean, there's no major thing. She had, what, 10 revolving accounts or 11? We'll debate it.
I have 10 that are
I think
active.
it's 11, but then one must not be active. And we went through each one of those. And she's created the slide, I just wish she'd brought it with it, but that's okay, I should have brought it with me, and I.
So we have
if-
7.5 FTEs, full-time equivalents,
Yep.
that are paid out of the town general fund, and that, but I have 33 employees.
Yep.
So, a lot, I would say probably 365,000 right now per year we pay out of revolving funds just for other staff. And then there are also expenses.
And those related to the separate programs that are being run, and the revolving accounts are kind of appropriately used for
In and
the,
out, yeah.
for the people that are doing those programs, okay.
Yep.
Either
And I have all the
Dave-
expenses and revenues for fiscal year 19, if you had any questions per se, of how much.
If you could just circulate that
I'll
slide
do
to the
that.
rest of the group, that'd be
Good
great.
idea, I'll dig
Yeah.
out the slide and send it to all of you.
And if any of us have any questions, would you mind if we just reach out to you?
Never.
Okay, that'd be great.
Not at all. I think the more, I kept telling Dave, the more you know about our finances, the more you're going to be impressed, because we spend a lot more money than we get from the town. And we make very good use of the money that we have. So, yeah, the more you know, I think the better you're gonna be happy.
And
So-
do you have an organization like the Friends of Library? Do you have?
Yes. And right now, I think last year was $59,000 they donated. This year, for instance, I get $3,000 a month on a regular basis, just from the Friends, for my discretion. And so I use that for my nighttime custodian to come in and keep the building open at night and to clean the bathrooms. And then I use the rest to help cover the downfall on our Meals on Wheels and nutrition program. So the cost of food and the cost of other things have gone up, and our contract from Elder Services and our reimbursement rate has not, which I'm negotiating with them now. But in order to catch that windfall and still make the program work, I use Friends money, and then I also use some money that's transferred from other funds, like our activity fund. Every time there's an activity that somebody pays for instance, if my yoga teacher is spending $5, charging $5 for a class, they get $4 out of it, and we get $1. And it goes back into this revolving fund and pays for no-fee activities like entertainment or the Veterans Breakfast that we have monthly for free. It also helps pay for things like if I need to buy pretty napkins for a party, or if I want to buy something special like extra turkey for a nice meal, because we can't really go by the money that we get for the contract.
And all that money gets approved and signed off through the town.
Yep. It's still on a warrant like all the other bills, so I put them in, but the number just is a different number, and it's the account, and that's what I manage.
Okay.
So, yeah, things are going fairly swimmingly, and some of our programs actually make some money, and we're able to expand them. So like our companion program, we saw that we were able to increase the rate for our companions, and also hire a person that's part-time to expand our possibility to take more clients in. And so we're able to help more people, and the money goes in and the money goes out. And we didn't have to increase the rate for the families for that service yet, so.
So if I just look at the full-time line on the budget.
Yep.
In your building maintenance or director, whatever the position,
That's not included in that.
so,
So he's still the same, he's still 20 hours
so what,
in that budget.
have you added headcount?
Nope,
Like if I go back to 2016, that line has gone up almost 40%, which seems like
Yes.
a lot just for
so,
stable funding.
no, so last year, we got an increase. We actually got an assistant director, so that was a big one, although it was the program director that we had, and she was given an increase in duties and was paid at a.
As an assistant director.
As an assistant
And we had talked about that for a couple of years, and that actually had to end up happening in last year's budget. But
Yeah, so thank you for that. It's been wonderful. What a great help. So, I'm not asking for a big ask, it's just the regular step increases and 2% increase that we were asked to present as a level-funded budget. And then I try to cut all of my expenses as much as possible. That's as efficient as we can be, and that's all. Nothing too big.
So if you're at home and you need something to do, the senior center is the place to go.
Absolutely. If you see the pictures on Facebook from Chowderfest, we had a fabulous time.
Come on, it was
Great.
rigged. Your own cook won. Come on, it was rigged.
I know, we're award-winning kitchen now. We've got a fully staffed kitchen for the first time in a couple of years. All I wanted for Christmas was a full staff. That's what I wanted, so. So thank you for your support in the past years, and I appreciate your support this year, and any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right. Does anybody have any further questions?
Nope.
All right. No. Thanks, Deb.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, moving right along. The next on our agenda is the review of fiscal year 20 budget for the Board of Health. And the Health Director, Sue Rosa, is here tonight. Hello.
How are you?
Been a busy week for you.
Oh, it's been a busy 6 months.
Well, that's true, too.
I've heard your name more than anybody
Let's
else.
be honest here.
I can't unbury myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I will start by saying I appreciate the support that we had in the fall to hire an extra inspector. And she's been with me for about 2.5 weeks and has done nothing but work on chickens. Which was not our...
I'm shocked.
And she had no clue she was signing up for that.
Well, I have to tell you, she did her research prior to the interview, and she called me about a week before she started, and she said, "I'm just confirming my start date." And I said, "Yep, you're good." And she said, "So, can you give me an idea of what I'll be starting off doing as soon as I come through the door?" And I said, "You'll be dealing with chickens and permits." And she goes, "Why did I know you were going to say that?" But she's great. She's, diving right in, because it's a lot of work, especially now that after special town meeting, changing of the whole zoning bylaw really affects all of these new permits that are now coming in for 2019. So all the renewals from 2018. And some people are not going to be happy because our setbacks are actually a little bit smaller for a lower number of chickens. But we have to treat everybody the same, and we have to go by the regulation.
Now, Paul, correct me if I'm incorrect. How many weeks do we expect that change in the zoning article to take place?
it'll get, you know, it'll get submitted to the Attorney General probably in a few business days.
Mhm.
And then they have 90 days, but this time of year they're not as busy. So my guess is you're probably talking April.
Okay, so those will be held in abeyance until April, I guess. Yeah, okay, just want to get a feel
Yeah.
for it.
We're actually, basically what we're doing is we're enforcing the newer
Regulations.
regulation now, because we can't allow people to not have any permits and wait until April.
Okay,
So we're kind of moving forward
so
with
you're moving forward with what the Board of Health regulations are.
what the Board of Health regulation is.
Right, they don't enforce the zoning.
And you guys don't
Because we
enforce the
don't,
zoning, yeah.
right.
And you don't expect the building director to be enforcing the zoning that's going to be changing? Okay, okay, that answers my question.
We do have an agreement with building because depending on, so there is a sign-off sheet. We've essentially changed the entire process because if we learn nothing from this whole thing is that our process wasn't very efficient. So that being said, we've changed the entire process, the entire application, and we have, for this year in particular, we will have two inspectors go out on every single inspection, which is also creating time constraints on the office, having to have two people. And in addition to that, we're still continuing to get sign-off from the building inspector.
Okay.
Because he is verifying whether or not they need a building
Building
permit for the
their coops,
structure.
yeah, okay.
And then we're also getting sign-off from Katie Messer and Conservation as far as wetlands.
Okay.
So,
So it changes regulations, but there's still heavy regulations in place.
yes. So as far as the budget, I tried to explain everything within the budget narrative as far as increases in numbers. Originally, we had the deputy director still on the budget, but then after meeting with the town manager and John, that position is actually not going to be continued after July 1st. So Mr. Day will no longer be working in that position. So that took the 11,000 out.
Okay.
So there's myself, and now we have the addition of the full-time health inspector. So this year, she was only going to be here for half a year. So next year, her salary is in for the full year. And Amanda Glasser is continuing on at she's still 30 hours a week, but we continue to split her salary with the school department. So we pay half and the school pays half.
Got it.
Because she does the education outreach for both of us. And then, of course, we have the full-time department assistant. And there's just 3 of us right now that are eligible for longevity.
Okay. Okay. Other than chickens, any other issue, any other issues that you see that you're devoting a lot of time to or plan to devote a lot of time to in the next year?
Well, we have 2 additional regulations that were added to us, which is the styrofoam and the plastic straws and plastic stirrers. Those were added to our responsibilities, effective July 1st. In all honesty, I haven't even begun to think about how I'm going to roll that out yet, as far as notifying the businesses and that. Although the woman who did make the proposal for the plastic straws and stirrers,
Nicole Giada?
Fikers, no,
Feekers.
Cindy
She's,
Feekers?
yeah, she is for the styrofoam.
Styrofoam, okay. She has reached out to me and would like to help do outreach for that and help notify some of the, the restaurants and
It's good to hear.
establishments. So I'm going to take her up on it.
Oh, definitely.
She actually said that she has a template that she's used, that she knows other communities have used in the past. So I'm going to take all the help I can get on that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we do need to give these places notices, because they stock up. I mean, think about how many styrofoam cups Dunkin' Donuts buys,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So that's going to be a huge, and as far as the straws, I actually was at the 110 Grill not too long ago, and one of the waitresses was telling me that she got yelled at for giving somebody a plastic straw, and I said, doesn't go into effect till July 1st.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but.
And you
it's
can ask for
You
it.
can ask for it.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not
Yes, you
banned,
can ask for it,
so-
yes. So they're not going to readily give them out, but you can ask for it. And when you ask for it, they have to give it to you.
Do we know how that's going to work? Do you have any, I know you said you haven't started to think about it. I can't visualize, especially a place like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or
I know.
McDonald's where they're out in the counter. I don't,
Well, they're not going to be able to put them out on the counter anymore, or they'll have to go to the wooden stirrers.
well, the wooden
or-
stores, they do that.
So the wooden
so
stirrers
they-
they'll
yeah.
do, but as far as the
Just have to
plastic
ask,
ones,
yeah.
and, yeah. So,
Like for the straws, well, I just ate somewhere, and we had to ask. Oh, I can't remember where it was, but it wasn't, it was somewhere else in Massachusetts.
But at a restaurant, I understand the function of how that works, because they're all kept in the back anyway.
Right, but
It's the-
usually they bring it out with your drink. So now they bring out your drink, and if the waitress leaves too quickly, you have to sort of flag her
Yeah,
down,
okay.
but you have to ask for it.
Yeah.
They'll bring it if you ask.
and some places, I don't know if they'll do this, whether they'll just automatically start purchasing and offering the paper straws, which, those are pretty disgusting.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't necessarily know anyone who enjoys a paper
Let the
straw.
record show I have my glass bottle
There you
here.
Let the record show I've got my Starbucks.
I was noticing I'm the only one. I'm the only one. I'm a Judy. I know, I've got my plastic
bag
bottle.
back here, too, which I purchased for 5 cents in the city of Boston.
They're 15 cents, aren't they, at Market Basket?
5 cents it depends on the store you're at in Boston.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So other things that we have actually coming up, which are really going to be taxing on the department, is that the state is also updating their pool code. So with that, there are increases in expectations when we do those inspections. They have just updated the food code, and they haven't updated that since the 90s. And there's all kinds of regulations for that. So myself and my 2 inspectors are attending a training in a couple of weeks in reference to the new food code, because that is incredibly extensive. And then there also, last year, they changed all the regulations to the camp code, so we're still adjusting to that. And the other one that they're talking about changing is the housing code.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
And so
what's the rating on the
we're
wall
getting
there?
slammed.
Yeah,
So you're going to be back here in the fall with another full-time
another full-time inspector.
Keep it in the back of your mind, will you?
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, I saw the
just-
adjunct kick in.
So, I mean, like I said, my goal is hopefully, with you guys giving us the inspector, the initial goal of that was to catch up on all those restaurants that we were behind.
Yeah.
And we haven't even begun
Haven't
to.
started that, yeah.
No,
Well, you've been bogged down with other things.
no.
How long does an inspection actually take?
Depends on how many violations they find. And then
So if
depending.
it's taking a long time, don't go near there.
And- Right. And then depending on the violation, how many times we have to go back.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's, and not very often do you get away with just one inspection. And now we're getting more and more food trucks that want to have permits in town. We also permit every single, if there's a function, the Taste of Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Every single person that was out there had to come get a permit from us. And that involves making sure that they're, utilizing a licensed kitchen and that they have their serve safe and everything that they're supposed to have.
Wow.
Farmers markets, they all need permits from us. People don't really know all the stuff that we do,
Yeah.
and it's very extensive.
They do like to complain about the stuff you don't, though.
No, that's for sure.
Just,
That's for sure.
sorry for the editorial.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, seriously, they need to know how involved this really is.
Right?
It's,
Sue, do you have on your radar, I heard there's the beginnings of a hepatitis A breakout in southern New Hampshire? Is that on our radar, being so close?
So we have basically been watching hepatitis A very closely because there's been real big increases in
Yeah.
breakouts amongst the homeless and substance users, and that's been the main population that it's been affecting.
But like, age range, it's like 25, 30 and up, right? Because in the
Yes.
90s, they started the vaccine, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But the thing, so a lot of these people don't have the vaccine.
Right, they didn't get the
haven't had the vaccine. Actually, the Mass Department of Public Health has tried to put forth an effort where they would like to see boards of health go out to homeless shelters, try to find people who are living on the streets,
Give free
and
vaccines.
actually give, offer them the vaccine. But once again, they're not giving us the vaccine for free.
Right.
Where are we going to get the money to pay for the vaccine? And some of my counterparts at the Lowell Health Department have tried to do the outreach there because they have a higher population than we do of those high-risk people. And oftentimes, they want no part of it.
Right.
So it's also selling the whole idea of the safety of it. So it's a challenge, but in all honesty, and I'm being frank,
Yeah, please.
because of chickens, I have not even been able to look at it.
Yeah, I used to-
Whereas that's a real.
Yeah,
huge
I didn't know if it was, I
issue.
didn't know if it was a concern that it was going to sort of make its way.
It's coming home to roost.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, for the love of Pete.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
You've been waiting to say that for quite a while, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Do you think that there will be, with it happening, and if it continues to sort of spread, do you think it will be, there'll be sort of a push for people 30 and above to get out and get the vaccine?
yes, it actually is encouraged for people at this point, as adults, because it's one of these that with the vaccine, it's so preventable.
Right, right.
So it is encouraged even as adults.
Yeah.
And, the kids now are getting
They get
it.
it, right,
So they're getting that protection. So, and I wouldn't be surprised, depending on to what level it gets to. DPH has been known in the past, if it escalates to a certain level, to purchase a certain number of vaccine. And then offer it out to different communities. And in the, 16, almost 17 years that I have been here, anytime that DPH has offered any free vaccine, we jump on that bandwagon
Oh,
as
yeah.
fast as
Yeah,
we can.
yeah.
And then we try to get it out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions regarding the rest of my budget? I have increased certain areas due to having the extra employee. We've got we share two town cars. I've opted not to take the car home. I leave it here, just so that it's, anyone in the office can use it at any given time.
Good.
And we all have to keep up with our certifications and our
Of course.
licenses and all that stuff.
The in-state travel jumped a little bit, do you know?
The reason I did that is because of the fact that combination of the gasoline and, of course, if you look at fiscal year 2018.
It was big, yeah.
It was 1587,
Mhm.
and that was, I think it ended up being like 226% of what I had allocated. And I didn't have that number when I did the 19, so I kept it at the 700.
Okay,
okay.
I
So
gotcha.
I'm playing catch-up now to say, okay, for fiscal year,
So that number's more realistic to what
Yes.
what the actual is. I understand what you're saying. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Do you know roughly what the actual is so far in 19, like through half the year?
I don't. I can find out and email it to you if you
Just-
want.
I'm guessing it's somewhere around the 1,000, a little bit over.
Yeah.
Based upon
You'd expect,
the
yeah.
act, yeah.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be there, but yeah.
And we also, based on your request in the past, in November, we reviewed our entire list of permitting fees.
Mhm.
And we pretty much increased just about everything. We compared surrounding communities, and we were low for many of the surrounding communities.
Okay.
So the only ones we kept the same is if we were the same or a little bit higher
Yeah.
than other people, but otherwise we increased across the board.
Good. And people will pay them if they need to.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good.
Any other questions?
No, but you did a great job Monday night.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You have no idea how my stomach was inside.
Yeah.
You got lots of steps too, going back and forth.
I did.
Well, luckily they finally put the chair so you could stay there. That was,
I know, when I was about to walk back, the man that was sitting there, he goes, why don't you just stay right here? I'm like, okay.
I think that was George Zarula said.
But it was You could cut the tension in that room with a knife.
Well, you were sitting in the back, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I walked in that room, just the air of the room immediately was very contentious. And I've already gotten emails since then about, certain people and what I'm doing about their permits and how I'm gonna handle it, and it's
You're gonna handle
ongoing.
it. You're gonna handle under the regulations as they were rewritten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
that's what I'm
When
telling
they take
everybody.
effect.
Yep.
Everybody's being treated
Well,
the
actually,
same.
those are already in effect.
The new
The
ones?
only change is the 40,000, which is not gonna be enforced by the building
Right.
inspector because it's
Okay.
being changed. That'll go to the Attorney General, as Paul said, and it'll come back
Right.
sometime around April.
Yeah.
But it's not being enforced, doesn't matter. So
Oh,
the ones that
okay.
were held
So
in
it doesn't
abeyance,
matter,
since the beginning of the year, because the new regulations for the Board of Health went into effect in December.
So the initial was passed in December, then we revised them a little bit in January, because
Yeah.
our original regulation called for a certified plot
Oh, yes, and
plan,
you went to the mortgage inspection plan or something similar
Yeah.
to that, which is 150.
which we're having
yeah.
some difficulties with already, because people are just drawing it on paper, and then we go
That's
out
not a mortgage
there, and
inspection plan.
it's not even close, and we're telling them you could even use the GIS mapping.
That
And,
is free on the town website.
yeah, and you can use the measuring tool on that.
Oh, yeah, that's super easy,
I
too.
use that in practice all the time, yeah.
So that's another thing that we're trying to encourage people to use. So it's very specific. They have to map it out, and then we get out there, and it's just like,
It doesn't match what you're
that's
seeing.
not right.
Yeah.
I mean, just today alone, just to give you an example, Michelle and I spent an hour and a half on one
Hmm.
permit, because we were getting such pushback from
And
the
do you have to
person.
go back after that?
Yep.
Hopefully going forward, once they're established, I mean, this year's gonna be tough.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
But hopefully going forward, after they're established and people have put them in place, there won't be too much change from year to year, and after this initial speed bump, so to speak.
Right.
Um,
Right. And one of the requirements that we did put in place is, after this year, once they do reapply to move forward, they're going to have to sign off every year that it's the same. And we will also go out to the property
And confirm.
every year, whereas prior to this, we only went out after an inspection if there was a complaint.
mhm.
So,
Okay.
That's a lot more work.
thank you very much.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not what I bargained for when I took this job.
Never is.
That's true. Oh, my.
All right, next on our agenda, review of fiscal year 20 budget, veterans agent. We have with us Regina Jackson, the veterans agent.
Hi, Regina. How are you?
Thank you. Close this to the last, excuse me, the last, oh, don't trip,
Well, yeah, please don't.
to the last page.
Thank you.
But the write-up is obviously.
On the first, yeah.
Hi, good evening. So actually, maybe we should go to the verbiage first.
Sure.
The reason why I put the last page is because the numbers have changed. The request for the veterans benefit line item, which is the Chapter 115 program, which is the money that the town pays out, actually, what I requested in November, it's actually been decreased after I talked to, it's a good thing. After
Okay.
I talked to Paul and John, the actual caseload and the way that the numbers are running this year and to project out to next year, we felt it was really, it was
Oh,
safe and
okay.
prudent to go down from, in the notes, excuse me, the last, under budget comments, the last one for fiscal year 2020, I was requesting $165,000 for the veterans benefits line item. But you can see from the last page, or the current one, it's 145.
Okay.
And that's because of the way things are trending.
Is
You know,
it just
up to
less,
me.
are there less people taking advantage of the services, or are there less people in town? or-
No, we still have a lot of veterans, we have probably over 3,000 veterans, and I still have a huge caseload. However, the Chapter 115 folks who are eligible, those numbers have decreased.
They have, okay.
And they've decreased the last couple of years for a number of reasons. One of the bigger reasons is the economy's better, And also our Veterans House on Manningham Street, the folks, the veterans who were that are in the home that were eligible for 115, we've kind of worked off to state, federal programs, which is what you're supposed to do. So one thing that has changed that kind of reflects that is, I did get an updated amount on the first page under the fiscal year 2019 goals and objectives, under the number 1, like the second dot there. I did get an updated reading on the amount of VA benefits that flow into the community. So for, the last several years, I've been quoting the last number that was available, but they did update it.
Yeah, that's great.
So in 2017, VA paid out $5,893,800 to 432 veterans living in Chelmsford. But what that means is there's 432 veterans who are getting some percentage of service-connected disabilities. So, and if you average that out, it's like $1,100 a month if everyone was getting the same.
Yeah.
However, if you have a veteran who's getting 100% service-connected disability, it's $3,200 a month. So, that money comes back to the veterans in the community. And then also the $800,592 to 52 surviving spouses. That means that there's 52 surviving spouses getting DIC benefit, which is a $1,200 a month, straight benefit. So that's a good thing. So there's more money, federal money flowing into veterans.
That's great.
And a little bit less on the Chapter 115. Although, under the budget comments, I also said that this was from November, that I was averaging 18 to 22 cases, but now this month I'm up to 25, which is okay. It's a bump in the way we pay them out. The Chapter 115 monthly benefits is we pay them out once a month. Like tomorrow is it's usually the first Friday of the month, kind of depends, because some of the payments are medical reimbursements, so they can come through any time of the month. And, if they're eligible, we pay them out. But the good thing is, we get 75% of everything we pay out back. So last year, last year's actual was $122,384, so we got $91,788 back.
So you're basically just asking for less money this year.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not sure we're equipped to handle that.
Less money, and you're going to get 75% back of the money that's paid out on the 115.
When did the payment come in this year?
They come in quarterly, and the
Oh, they
last
do.
one is, and it's
I know in the
very
past, sometimes
efficient.
it's been held back a little bit.
It's 1 year, it's 1 year behind, and then they pay in the quarter. And they're pretty up to
Pretty
date.
good at date. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
The shutdown didn't affect,
No, the only thing the shutdown affected for, as far as veterans go, was the National Personal Record Center was pretty much closed, so they were not updating any records. So a lot of the claims, they're slow anyways, they're ridiculously slow. The federals, they're awful. A lot of
bless
those were
America.
there. No, I was actually in Boston at the JFK today for a video conference hearing on one of my veterans' appeals cases. It is a long story, but the appeal was 4.5 years old. And and it was like, we got the letter a month ago, okay, you got a video conference, you come in, they schedule 3 or 4 at the same
Is it
time.
sad that I'm not fazed by that at all? It's
It's
almost
the way it
expected.
is.
It's the way it is.
It's the way it is. So you just have to kind of, you can outlast the VA, you just have to outlast them,
Yeah.
yeah. So they, so the answer was, other than the records, no, nothing was updated, but it takes forever anyway, so it's another month.
It's just been pushed back a month further than usual.
Yes, pretty much.
what a shame.
But every time, it's cumulative, so every time that happens, it adds another month or so to the time frame. Sort of like the court system. Any questions?
No, but thank you for all you do for the veterans.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I love my job.
I second that.
Thank you. Oh, I do want to put in a plug for Veterans Park.
Please do.
Yes. I don't know if everybody knows this, but Veterans Memorial Park is not run by the town. The town does not fund it or run it, or, however, they are, the Veterans Memorial Park Committee is accepting names to add on to 2 new stones that will be put up to the park, and I do have the applications if anyone's interested, and we hope to have it completed and dedicated next Veterans Day, November 2019. That's the goal. But it's run by an independent committee,
2019.
Nice.
Where can people go and get that application again?
my office, me.
Your office,
Yeah.
perfect, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Regina.
Appreciate
Take care.
it. Appreciate all your support.
All right, moving right along. Now we have the review of the fiscal year 20 budget for the Finance Department, which includes accounting, assessors, information technology, treasury, and collection. With us is John Souza, our Finance Director and Treasurer.
There he is.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Finance Committee.
Good evening.
This past Monday, we had an opportunity, all of the Finance Department division heads, which include Frank Reen, our Chief Assessor, Darlene Lucy, our Town Accountant, Ted Luter, our IT Director, and myself met with Anita as our Finance Committee liaison in this room. So Anita had an opportunity to go through the budget, our budget request in detail and ask questions. And just to go through with you, this is just the summary packet that you have. This year, we're requesting a budget based on, as you can see on page 3, it's based on the same number of full-time positions, 14, and you can see how they are dispersed among the 4 different offices. And just moving on into the line item budget, we'll start with the Treasurer Collector's Office on page 4. So for the personnel budget, the increase there includes your cost of living for non-union personnel and step increases for eligible personnel. The expense budget is, the request is level funded this year at $221,500. Just based on past experience, we've been able to operate at that level of funding in recent years. Moving on to the Information Technology Department, that covers 2 employees there. Again, the personnel requests reflect step increases for eligible employees, et cetera. When you look in the expense areas, a couple of accounts I just want to mention. It's called computer maintenance, but it also includes some other things, so I just wanted to explain. Our IT director and staff has been working in concert with the assistant town manager to upgrade we currently have a contract with a telephone vendor, and they're going to be upgrading to a different telephone vendor, and the reason for that, it's going to give us more service at a lower cost. One of the things we're going to be doing is, after talking with the town accountant, the reason their budget, that budget line, the first one you see is going up just around $26,000 or so, is because we're going to start a practice to try to be more efficient when the invoices come in for all the telephone, all the landlines that serve the town offices, some of the various general government departments. Instead of spending time having an accounting employee charge off that invoice it has to be between 15 to 20 different departments. The invoice is going to be charged to write directly to information technology, and then we'll actually be, one of the things that I'll be doing is working with department heads. We're going to be going in and just adjusting their telephone line item, and I've talked with them when the town manager, I met with them to go over their budget in detail. So it won't be a decrease to their budget. As we explained to them, the cost will be being shifted to IT, so it's just going to be paid out of a different line item in the budget.
It's a cost shift for
right.
efficiency.
Right, exactly. And that was something that the town accountant recommended just to try to make it more efficient. And then on the contracted services line, you see an increase of about $6,000 there. The reason for that is the IT department is working in concert with the town clerk to, they're going to be working on a software upgrade for the package we have that tracks all of the boards and committees that you see. You may have seen if you've gone on the town website. So there's a software upgrade involved there.
Yeah, Acela, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much the story on IT. Moving on to the assessor's office on page 6. Again, that personnel budget reflects steps and non-union increases for eligible employees. In the expense area, there's a couple things going on I just wanted to mention. FY21 is the next year that the assessor's office will need to do a total reval of the town, and that's on the schedule established by the Department of Revenue. So what they're doing, rather than just, they want to be proactive and not wait till fiscal 21 arrives. So you see the revaluation update lines going up a little over 16,000. And they're going to be starting to do some, they're going to be having a contractor start to do some revaluation work in advance so they can try to get some done over time. And that's, they have a contractor that they use for what's called personal property accounts, which is basically a tax on business equipment, furnishings, things like that. And
So I guess, just a quick question, Sean, on the revaluation rather. So that's being done, it's mandated to be done in fiscal year 21. They're starting the process, obviously, to get the ball rolling. When will the reassessments hit the tax payer, I guess?
it should hit in 21 because then
It will still hit in 21.
Frank will be working to have all of the assessed values loaded in and certified by the DOR.
Those will be updated in 21, even though they started the process in 20.
Right, they'll be working to try to.
Okay, just want to,
Yep.
okay.
And actually, what they're doing now, some of the work that they're actually doing is they're going to have, personal property is kind of an intensive thing because you have the business submits something called a formal list and it has all their assets on it. So this allows the contractor to go in and start doing some preliminary work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So what fiscal year did the other upgrade hit? The reevaluation, we got a large amount of money, it was like $2 million, I can't remember what it was.
That's 18.
Right, yeah.
Was it
looks like-
fiscal 18 that it
I
hit?
believe that was 18. And that was kind of an unusual, after that, it had been some time since a total
Right.
townwide reval. So this time, I certainly don't want to go out and make long-term predictions that,
Of course.
that don't match up. But where it had gone on for some time, the DOR has establishes now, it used to be called triennial certification, meaning 3
Okay.
years. Now it's more like 4, and in some cases, some communities, it could be 4 or 5. So,
But it was, it had been like 10 years.
yeah, I was going to say a
So it
good
was a
9
long
to 10
time.
years.
So
So
now it's not going to be
I
such a.
don't want to go
wall.
out on a limb and promise. I mean, unless we have a dramatic growth in business, I wouldn't want to go out and
Of
you
course.
know,
No,
say
of
we're
course,
going to
of
have a
course.
$2 million new growth number. But that was the other stuff was a lot of they were catching up on things.
It'll be a more gradual process. That's the goal going forward, I
Right.
guess, is the way to
Right,
put it.
exactly. And then moving on to the accounting office, same story there. Personnel services budget reflects non-union step increases and cost of living for eligible employees. The expense budget, the one item you see, the main difference there is it's decreasing $8,700. The reason for that is if you look at that last line, the GASB 45 actuarial update, we're on a cycle where the actuarial update for OPEB is done every 2 years. And so, since we have funding in the 19 budget for it, we will not need funding. It drops out, if you will, for the 2020 budget. And the audit, we have a contract with this audit firm, and the price is exactly the same. And other than that, it's just your, minimal, your office supplies, things like that, so.
I wish I could be as good as you as keeping my audit fees the same for 3 years in a row. I don't have that luck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have to say, our current firm has been a great partner in that. I mean, they've knock on wood, they've held the line for few years now.
Let's not dwell on it and point it out.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah.
If they're listening. And then the last page is a salary detail for all the various positions. So that concludes the finance department.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
People are still reading. I'm going to give a little.
Absolutely.
It would be helpful, and this is not a comment for you necessarily, but for everybody, if we get this in advance,
It would be.
it would make life a lot easier.
Oh,
for-
sure.
For all folks that come in.
Yeah.
Because I hate to sit here and read while you're trying
Yeah.
to talk, like
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention, and that's the case for all of the ones.
So what I would suggest, and what we've done in the past, is when people do meet with their departments, and this is tough because it's the first one.
Yeah.
First set. Usually we have those, and we've done it in the past, last year, the year before that. When we were giving information from the department, it's given to the liaison sends it out to the group.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah. So in going forward in planning, and we'll talk about that next in the agenda, if people, once they receive that from the department, when they meet, we circulate it, and we do have a look at that, and it changes slightly from the meeting sometimes
Yeah.
to the actual meeting in front of us. But that you're right, Eric, that is more helpful, and usually we do it that way.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Especially with the bigger ones coming up, such there's the schools and the DPW
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to read the school memo while he's sitting there. 'cause that- Give me about 45 minutes.
right. Just hang out for a second.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're making record time tonight, guys. Did I just jinx us?
That's a total jinx right there.
Yeah, well, you know. All right, next on the agenda is the reorganization discussion and vote. We pushed this off from the last meeting on the 24th. Although we do not have a full board tonight, we have a semi-full board tonight. I think I spoke with Anita briefly, and she said she's fine with us taking a vote if we were to take a vote tonight, have a discussion. So I open up to the floor. If anyone wants to speak about it, if we want to continue, we want to vote tonight, we want to push it off again, although I see no reason to. It's the board's prerogative.
Well, I'd just say that I'm perfectly happy and content with the way things are.
I was going to say the same thing.
I second that motion.
Yeah.
If, I would say that I understand that you're, being the chairman is a lot of extra work, and if there are ways that we can help you, I'm sure we could maybe offer to help, but
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
maybe.
You can
but,
delegate a little more.
I like
to
the way you said that. There's a lot of qualification in that, Kevin.
it. Quite vague, but.
Right.
No, I.
Given the assignment, I would perform it for you, but,
I agree with Kathy. I think that you as chairman, Anita as vice, has worked very well for us. But I do understand that it's a lot of extra work on your part, and it's not exactly like you're swimming in free time. So, if you want to delegate a little more to the rest of us, I'm sure we'd be happy to pick up some of the slack to help you out.
I think what we might want to do, and I think the thing that takes the most time
Yeah.
of anything is the letter
Right.
that goes into all the warrant books, and that's something that we endeavored to do a couple of years ago when we were criticized for not providing enough information and on our votes in the book and pamphlet. So I've endeavored in the past few years to really kind of tell the tale of why we're doing the vote. What helped a lot actually at the special town meeting was, Eric, when you wrote up the paragraph in concert with Dave and Anita, especially since you guys had the majority vote there, although you didn't carry the day.
We carried the day here.
That was very helpful because it gave a framework. So I think as we go along, if people can somehow have in their mind what they would like to say regarding something, even though we haven't voted yet,
Right.
you don't need to share it with the group. It can be something that is done along the way, especially if it's a part of the either warrant article or budget you've worked on. A little description as to why you're voting the way you're voting, and any update for that, if you could just put that in the back of mind, a quick little blurb, we can compile that into a more comprehensive
that'll
letter.
make it easier for
And that'll
you.
make it a little easier. Yeah, so that would definitely be helpful. It would give everyone a little more of a voice in it, too.
Is it over-engineering to essentially assign out those write-ups like we do the liaison assignments?
No, like I said, with the liaison, if you're the liaison for that, I'd welcome a little bit of like that. Obviously, I'll exercise editorial, and all of a sudden, everybody can do the same.
No, yeah.
But no, I think that would help. I
Okay.
think, and again, it gives a little bit more flavor, a little bit more voice to everybody else on the board.
And then when we get to actual warrant articles versus, just the ones that have to do with budgets, but when we get into other areas.
We can talk about that as well. Yeah.
Sort of, especially if it gets something somewhat contentious, we think it's gonna be a town meeting, we can
I don't
be
th-
like, I'll write something, no, not.
I know we don't.
Not this year.
No,
but
yeah.
in years past, but something like that where, like you said, if there was a vote and we want to make sure that our voices are clear as to why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd definitely be
Yeah.
helpful. So.
Okay, I think that's a great idea.
Given that, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Mr. Clancy as chairman.
I second it.
I third that.
Discussion?
Thank you for helping us in this way. You do an excellent job.
Well, thank you.
You do an
You guys
excellent
make it easier, for sure. We don't always agree on everything, but I think we all do our homework, and that helps significantly when it comes time to vote. So I appreciate it, because this is a time commitment, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in budget season, so I do appreciate everyone on the board and their input. And I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Well,
We haven't voted yet.
Well, I appreciate the push. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. I take back everything I just said.
Well done.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm going to abstain, as I always do, on a vote for myself. Do I have a motion for the
I'll make.
vice chair, rather?
Yeah.
And Anita, yeah, she said she was fine, happy to continue.
She didn't tell me otherwise.
Then I'll make a
Hey,
motion.
listen, you snooze, you lose.
She's not here tonight to say anything.
Right, it's a very dangerous night not to show up. I make a motion for Anita to be vice chair.
I second it.
Discussion? No, Anita fills in admirably when I'm not able to be here, which is great. I would argue that she's a little quicker in her meetings than I am, which is good for everybody else. So I'm fine with that. I think that's a good nomination. I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts or any further discussion? All right.
Nope.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, review of liaison assignments for fiscal year 2020 budget review. I'm going to pass that out. That's one together. That's one together.
Pam, do you need one?
Yep.
If it was
This way,
one,
it's the two-pager.
I'd slide it, but with two, I thought they were gonna go like that.
No, I was looking at my copy from last week.
I can
Okay.
add, so we are meeting with Chief Ryan Saturday.
Correct.
Okay.
So I will ask him to, when do you want him to come in? And
Well,
see if he-
here's what we have left for dates. We have decided on the 24th, we were not meeting on the 21st.
Okay, we are not, okay.
Because I had school vacation week and.
We have enough time to get everything done?
Yeah,
Okay.
we like I said, we got through a lot tonight and in very little time. A couple of big ones are coming up, the schools.
I know we met last year over
public
vacation,
facilities.
because we needed it.
We needed it last year, although we had a lot of warrant articles we needed to discuss last year, too. We didn't?
No, that will not be the case.
I'm sorry, I thought we did, yeah. That's not,
Poor
no.
Jim's like, what year was that? I don't remember.
Wait, oh no. No,
Okay.
no, there really aren't a whole lot of warrant articles. And I think the ones regarding the drive-through on 129. There will not be domestic animals, chickens article, I don't think.
No,
They,
one is already confirmed to pull it, and I expect the other one will as well.
and then so,
And the other zoning article on Route 40 apparently is not going to make it either.
really? Okay.
They've now scheduled a meeting for March, so.
That's not gonna make it, yeah.
So, and in fact, having that special may have saved us tonight in the spring. So I said, it's.
So that's actually good. Yeah, we got stuff done, and it saves us another night. Oh, that's perfect. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, really, there's not a whole lot of perceived controversy that I can see here. It's just really the drive-throughs and the facade signage improvement for through the CPF.
And we're meeting on Valentine's Day, right?
Well, that's what I wanted to discuss. So
It's your birthday.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
That's not the reason why I wanted to discuss it,
Yeah, I
though.
know. Your wife's the reason you want to discuss it.
Yes.
Sure, yes, Christine,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
why.
yeah,
we're
She's probably not watching right now anyway. My grandmother is.
grandma's listening.
Hi, Grammy. I did wave. No,
Did you see where Gronk's mother wants to know why she never gets a shout out and Tom Brady's mother always?
yeah, I did see that, yes. We have a lot of nights available. We are meeting the 28th. We plan to meet the 28th of February, yes. And then there are 4 nights in March we have available for ours. I'm not sure we're going to need the 14th. And I think the spouses and significant others on this board would be happy if we did not meet next Thursday. If everyone's okay with that, I don't see a reason not
I think it might be hard to ask people to come in that night, too.
I think so, too. That's my other concern. We currently don't have anybody lined up. We
Right.
could, but seeing as it's people have plans that night, or it makes it difficult. I don't know. Is everyone fine with not meeting next week?
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I don't think it's going to affect our, no, we don't need a motion, no. So we will not meet next Thursday.
Okay.
Kurt, thank you, and I will let Vilu know as well, just so that you know. So we'll take that off from next week.
So do you want me to see if Chief Ryan can come in on the 28th?
Yeah, sure. That gives us a couple weeks before we meet again, because we're not
Yeah.
going to meet during school vacation. So 28th will be the first night back. I know you guys are meeting with the Neshoba Valley School District, are meeting with them on the 11th?
Right.
Okay.
We can try to get them for the
28th?
28th as well.
Yeah, if
See
they're
see
available,
she
that's
can do it.
fine,
The
yeah.
problem with the 28th is I'm not here.
You're in
down
sunny
in
Florida,
Florida, that's
right?
correct.
You're in sunny Florida?
I hope so.
Well, if
So-
that's the case, would you prefer that we ask them to come in the week after?
It's up to you folks. I mean, Eric will be with me as well as Vicky, and if you want to review it then, I can send off whatever comments seem appropriate. It's really up to the other two
We won't be
when
vo-
they want to do it.
We won't be voting that night, obviously. You'll be here for the vote, and we'll have further discussion that night. And if you're meeting with them separately, it may not matter too much, as long as your other liaison members, you can discuss what your concerns or questions might be, and then they can present them at that meeting,
Okay.
if you're comfortable with that.
I'm very
Otherwise, we can have them move to the first. We have time to discuss that, because we have 2 weeks to set the schedule.
I'm fine either way, as long as it's fine with Eric and Vicky.
It's fine
It's
with
fine
me.
with me.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see if, maybe she
Okay.
can't do it, but we'll see if Denise can come in.
And then I know the budget was presented, and the initial budget was presented for the Chelmsford Public Schools.
And I sent Dr. Lang an email asking about when he'd like to meet with the liaisons individually. And he was, open to our schedule. And also, he said as far as coming to, I gave him the dates that I said, we're beginning in February 7th and we have to have our final vote by March 28th was our target. And he said, he gave me they're having their hearing. They've presented the budget to the school committee this week, and they're having a open hearing. And then he wanted to know if, prior to their coming to our board, the full board, would we prefer it if they've already voted on, to accept the budget, or after?
And they're voting on the 20, was it the 26th? Is that the date that he put in?
No,
here?
that's the
Something
date they're
else.
having the open presentation, if I
Okay,
remember. I can look
okay.
up his email response.
Do you know when they would expect to be voting on it?
I think he's, did
He
say-
didn't
hang on.
actually say that, but usually it's after that.
I mean, we all are well aware that they have budget line
Yeah,
autonomy.
public hearing on, February 26th. Time-wise, would you prefer to meet before or after the school committee has a chance to review and approve the proposed budget? Yeah, you're right, he doesn't say when.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
I mean, traditionally, they've been closer to the later part
Yeah.
of March, just for hearing purposes and for
Yeah.
review and stuff like that. I would say, I mean, I'll leave it up to the liaisons to the school budget and the school committee. I mean, there's arguments for both. The one is that if they've taken their vote, that's the budget they're presenting, and we're doing an up or down vote usually anyway.
Right.
However, the other side of the coin is if they come in before they've made their vote, they'll at least hear what we have for comments
then
about
they-
the budget, and
yeah.
the school committee could address those potential.
Have they ever done that in the past, though?
Hey, there's a time for everything.
Yeah. I think, well, one time they were going to, I think they've taken some things into consideration.
I think so,
Rather
too.
than going
Yeah.
into specifics.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious, I mean, is that sort of a moot issue? You know, like, does it never really happen?
It doesn't
Okay.
matter to me, but, yeah. Might
I
to
think the
them.
fact that time-wise to get them in here, I think it might be hard to nail down a time with Jay in the next few weeks.
Okay, so let's
You
look
know
at
what I- you know what I mean?
let's look at the
Yeah.
7th, the 14th, and the 21st as potential dates for them then. And we'll see where that falls in their schedule, with the goal of us voting no later than the 28th of March.
So,
what I don't want to have happen is what happened last year, where the school committee came in the last night that we had, and
Oh,
we
no, that was too
voted that
much.
night.
No,
Yeah,
that
That was a
too much.
marathon and
Yeah.
a half, and I'd rather have no presentations that night we vote,
I agree.
and just have votes.
so
talk.
March 21st would be the last date
Yeah, I think so.
for school. So, okay.
And
That's
Dave,
fine.
when are you gone? You're gone, what are the dates that you're
February
gone?
28th?
I'm sorry?
21st,
dates that you're gone?
the 21st, 28th, right?
Just the, now, I'll just miss one meeting, which will be the 28th.
And Eric, you
I
have a
fly
conflict on the
back on the
14th of
7th.
March?
Oh, yeah, no, I was saying, I just wanted to,
That's the
I
only
want to
one.
know what time,
Okay.
so when we set up the appointment with the school committee, we can try and make sure you're here. The school department.
I'm gone from the 21st to the 7th.
Okay. And you're going to bring the sunshine back with you, right?
At least that.
Yeah.
All right, so sometime between
Yeah.
the 7th and the 21st for them.
I think we should target the 21st of March.
Yeah.
That gives enough time for Dave and our schedules,
Okay.
and,
But, yeah, I'd really like to try and make the meeting.
I would think so, that would be
I
nice.
really would, but, you know, the farther out we go, like, if we can schedule it now for sometime in March, I can probably find an afternoon that I don't have client appointments.
Great.
There's no shot in February.
Kathy, for you, we have left library, you and Dave.
I'm meeting with the library, not with the whole library, but I'm meeting with the director of the library tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And so then I can ask her when she's available.
Yep, ask when she's available, just let us know. Same with community preservation.
I've reached out, I've left a message with Linda, but I haven't heard back.
Is Linda still the chair? Has there been any change there?
Yes, she's
Linda Prescott, yes, okay.
I didn't have an email, but I left her a phone message. I'll see if I could find.
That's fine, well, we have a few weeks now, we're not meeting next week, so.
Yeah, so,
We've got time. And then, now that we've pushed it out a couple of weeks, I will reach out. Chief Spinney said he's available most Saturdays to
Okay.
meet, so we can figure that out. And then, Eric, as far as the DPW, we'll find a morning that works the best.
Yep.
And next couple of weeks, we'll get that done.
Okay.
So we'll probably target, if we're having two come in on the 28th, we'll probably target maybe the 7th for them to come in
Okay.
of March. because
What's
tonight's
that for?
DPW and the sewer department, and they're also coming in to talk about Progress Ave pump station, which shouldn't be a long discussion, and then the sewer infiltration system.
We're doing that on the 28th?
No, I think we're targeting the 7th
Oh, okay.
of March for that.
Oh, good. And actually, there's another one for the 28th, unless we want to change Pete Padulo's, because he has accepted for the 28th.
For the
if it's still
28th,
available.
that's fine. No, that works.
And I'm meeting with him on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which one was this?
This Pete Padula and
Access
the,
cable?
Okay.
and PEG Access, yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll target the 7th for that, and the 7th for that. You'll check tomorrow on we'll check in with CPF and library, and that leaves the Shoba. We said we're going to target sometime around. Do we say the 28th for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then we'll talk to Chief Spinney and see what's
Yeah.
good for him.
I'll give you a couple of dates that I can, like,
Yep.
do mornings.
Perfect. And then Paul, you said the 25th is when the warrant will be signed.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have it for you next meeting.
Perfect. That actually works very well. So we'll have a updated and signed warrant the next time we meet, which is perfect, and then we can set any warrant articles need to come in. Like I said, there's only a couple that we really need to discuss. Other ones are just revolving or part of the budget already.
So you said the 24, the chickens are off, and the Route 40 is off?
It's off.
I believe so, yeah. They met Tuesday evening, and then they're still working, and so it's not going to be going into March. Warrants like that.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Hey, that takes care of that. So, yeah, we don't need as many meetings as we did last year,
Yeah.
which is
Not
nice.
as warrant article heavy.
And definitely. All right, perfect. So that takes care of the schedule. And as the ones that don't have the sign yet come in, we can, if you shoot an email, let us know what's available, what night they might want. We can put that on the schedule. Is there any public comment? I'm gonna take this opportunity. I mentioned earlier when we did the minutes and the votes that we got a document request. It's coming from the president of the union for the sergeants. I have compiled what I have under that request. Does anyone, between the January 24th and February 4th is the time period. I don't believe anyone had any other discussions or texts or emails or anything like that regarding the arbitration. I'm required to produce them if we did. I don't believe we did.
I think the only email was the email that Paul sent with the information about it.
Yep, no,
And then
That's it.
and then
They're
you
waiting.
replying saying
we
we're
had a
gonna have a
couple
meeting.
with the scheduling and the meeting,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but that was
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm just making sure there wasn't anything else, public or private, that may have occurred between the 24th and the 8th. If there's not, perfect, I'll complete my production. It's due within 10 days from the request, with the 2 sets of minutes. The one that was voted on tonight, and the other one that we're postponing until our next meeting. Because it's been postponed, I'll present them as such, but they have not been voted on yet.
What happened? Did the warrant article pass at town meeting? I wasn't.
No, we voted unanimously against it, and for a recommendation, which is why we have a request for records, I assume. And the town meeting voted it down. It did a 2/3 vote. It was voted down, so it's been sent back to arbitration. So you can watch that on the Chelmsford Telemedia. It is available for viewing and to see how that discussion went. And then our minutes, although they will not be posted, will be part of that public record request production.
Excuse me. Thank you.
We'll vote on those meetings. Take a look at them when you have a chance, and then we will vote on the next meeting. But while we're talking about that, I know it didn't occur here, but I want to make sure everyone has signed their open meeting law sheet and acknowledgement for this year, and they return it back to Tricia, so it's up to date. It's on the website. I'll send around the link, so you can just make sure that we're in compliance. We've followed our open meeting law requirements. And then every 2 years, we're required to do a conflict of law interest training. If you have not done your second year training, please do so. It takes about an hour. It's not terrible. It's a lot of common sense, but it's required. So while we're doing that, we want to make sure we comply both with conflict of interest and with open meeting laws, so that, like this, there are no issues.
Right. Jim, I do have a question on that.
Sure.
So I took mine less than 4 months ago.
You're fine.
Okay, and then I got a new one, and I thought I'm just done with it.
No, she
Nope.
just sends it out to, she sends
It
it out
goes
to
out.
everybody.
So I can
Who's
just
required, yeah.
re-sign what I sent to her 4 months ago with the new date, and I should be good until...
For the open meeting, yep. And then for the training, it's every 2 years. So you've done your training,
That's what I
you're good
thought.
for 2 years.
So I called, and they thought I had to take it again, and I'm
Nope.
4 months into it, so...
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
But for people that are, entering into their third year, they haven't taken it in a while, or their fourth or their fifth year, it needs to be done every 2 years.
I see a pot of coffee in my future.
Let's make sure we're up to date. All right, there are no press here tonight, so there are no press questions. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. See you guys 28th.